everyone. Welcome to another AI Amigos Show episode. My name is Marina, and I am very pleased to introduce here my two good friends, Jen Chao and James. Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Hello. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
So,
Doing well?
in today's episode, we have a very interesting topic that it comes actually from the previous episode because Jen Chao mentioned, okay, now AI can create debates between maybe different personalities, different backgrounds, and before companies needed to hire these people. So here we came to the conclusion that, okay, these different people, then they are represented by different agents and agents are actually the base of AI. Maybe, James, that you visited the US, you can tell us a little bit more about this and what is going on there, what people are talking about, and something else about the agents.
Well, I mean, that's a big topic right now, agents. And I think because, when we look at going back to, let's say, the ethics of AI, when decisions are being made in large scale using AI, what is the ethics behind it and who is actually doing it? And I think that's when you say, well, it's an AI agent versus like a human agent as such. But I can tell you, even in my background of financial services, which I mentioned before, when I train an AI agent, now I'm using reinforcement learning. So if you do, let's say, if you want to do it on a stock, you cannot use one agent that you trained on one. Let's say, for example, on the QQQ, which is the Nasdaq 100 compact index, and you then train it on that. You cannot say, well, I'm going to now use that agent on the S&P 500 because
Mm-hmm.
they're two different data sets and two different things, and so you have to use two different agents there. So every stock that you use, you have to have multiple agents. So as you say, different points of view in the debate because it's underlying training data, and then you need an additional agent. So let's say you have a portfolio of 10 stocks, you'll need an 11th agent, and the 11th agent would be then telling you how much to allocate in each stock in the portfolio. And so, yeah, it's you build an agent for the context of what you're going to use it based on the data you're going to use. Not, it's not going to be one for all. So it's like even if you think of like us as humans, when we learn, we specialize in different areas. We don't know everything. You know,
But I think this is exactly the same as Mixtral is doing, right? Because Mixtral is actually called the mixture of experts. So then what they are doing is having different agents that are expert in different fields. And then the promise of this, and like I say, like promise in quotations, so is that you would get like a better result because you can interact with your machine about several topics, and then you have different experts to talk about that. Um, how is it in the industry? Maybe, Jean, you have seen something or more people using generative AI, especially with cloud where most of the data is stored, I would say. Maybe you have some comment on this.
Yeah, I think in some level, there are the agent being used quite a lot, but I think there might be different meanings into this. I know in the traditional sense, kind of like James says, that's the agent insight, and in this case, maybe there's some level of agent, to my understanding, on the very top level, is kind of like a function.
yeah,
Let's say, oh, this kind of I think it's the open AI term, like double double coded agent. So what they are is it's kind of just extend of the language model itself, because it can language model only can do input and output, but
mm,
the agents kind of extended to do different things. Let me give you an example. For if you push in, I was playing with it to do something called kind of reading the bill from like aircon or anybody, just going to read through the bill. So you can code to read specific things on that, but if you have different bill from different providers, you can't code all of them. And if the new ones come in, um, it's very hard to code because format change or something. So you can build an agent, let's say, using recognize the bill, extract the information out, and then you can ask the agent says you can output in JSON format or fill it into any places. And this is a small part of that. And then you can build other function to it, so it can extract the information out from the bill very easily.
And do you think then that the result would be more accurate?
Result will be more accurate. What do you mean more accurate?
Yes. So then, I mean, like, imagine if I talk with generative AI as
Mm.
we knew it, and then, well, I get like certain result. But if I have a mixture of experts, so am I supposed to have a better result, or is it still dependent on the data that we use to train the models, to train each agent? Because also it can create bias.
Yeah, definitely. The fundamental level, it didn't change. The agent just kind of, to my understanding, is extended to do something you want him to do, other than just input or output the text.
You don't feel, guys, that we just did like a super big round to go back to the same point? That's my feeling. When we studied AI, I remember like one of the first classes what about like, okay, analyze the agent and how the agent identifies, for example, like with the sensors, so what is in front of how it learns, or the reinforcement learning, with the punishment and the reward and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, with generative AI, it's kind of people literally forgot about this. It's like, okay, that's it. Now everything is like NLP and text and all. And then now we can see, no, but hold on, back off. Like there is something else. And when we see the big picture, this is exactly the basis of AI that people actually forgot to talk about for so long. Um, do you think that it would actually have an impact in the tools, for example, ChatGPT? Do you think that this is something that, okay, as we are expanding like before, that's why ChatGPT is charging super much? So remember, like one of our episodes, we talk about this, that ChatGPT like now is charging like $200.
Yeah.
So then, do you think that it is related or not?
I
Or
mean,
there are
there's a
some,
lot of there's a lot of hype around large language models at the moment, as you're saying, and and we're seeing that generative AI is doing a lot more, but the underlying technology, when we look at whether it be, let's say, reinforcement learning or be supervised learning, or in some cases unsupervised learning, that we, those are the underlying technologies that make large language models work, right? But most people that know about AI don't know of these underlying technologies. I mean, they just say, I go into ChatGPT, I type something in, and it gives me an output. And that's where I think that's where the hype is around all of that. And so if that's where the hype is, it's like that's where the money's going. I
but
mean,
you
you know
can
what I
you
mean?
can actually do the same. Like let's say if you said, okay, regression model, you can actually add an input that is your data, and then you get an output.
Yeah.
And I mentioned like the basic one, right? Like I'm not going like super far, or the same. Even with clustering, you say, okay, this is my data. I want to cluster it. I want to divide it or add labels. So then you also get the result. So then we're
Well,
saying that actually the basis of the technology didn't change. The fundamentals, as Jean-Charles said, they didn't change.
no.
So
No,
what is changing then?
I think you see from the evolution from like GPT-1, even before that, the BART, and the framework was set already. They're using the transformers was big thing, right? And then since that, they just figured out, okay, how do we improve the accuracy? I can just fit into massive amount of data. So since then, it has been a data game. You can just say the fitting more and more and more and more data, and then now it's I don't know how many billion parameters on ChatGPT 4 now, right? But
Well,
that's the same.
maybe that's why the giant techs are buying like data centers, because they actually need more and more data to train this kind of
Hmm.
models or to train the copilot, for example.
Yeah, and it's very interesting as well. There's another point you mentioned about GPT Sora, the video. I don't know if you guys seen it or not. There's a comparison post on the X. It's talking. It's actually a person holding a knife to cut through a tomato, Sora kind of like cutting through the tomato, cutting through the fingers and all that sort of stuff, right? And then taking out, and I was like, it's no injury. Yeah, I will show you later on. And then compared to Google's Vero 2, it was really realistic, cutting
Oh
through the
my
tomato.
God.
Have a look at Google Vero 2. So that raised me a kind of like thinking as well, like, if you're making videos, this is YouTube is Google. They must have someplace store all those video at the back end and take them super quick and train them. So you can see how they win this game kind of. You can see the Google Vero kind of making better video than Sora. From the surface, I haven't tried because those are super expensive to try.
Plus, you want to keep your fingers.
Yeah. Oh, I want to try that on the car.
That one will be more expensive than the app.
Yeah,
Exactly.
definitely.
No, well, but like Google was always like the biggest tech company, or at least in the opinion of everybody, because they can easily track all data, like your search, your map, YouTube videos, etc., etc. But OpenAI is actually putting up a really good fight on this. I would say that they actually got the data from billions of users around the world, like for years, offering like the free version and the, let's say, kind of cheap version as well. And well, now they are in the power to charge $200. Who knows why? What the difference are.
I think the power definitely is in data. What the data they use to train. And OpenAI is in the game because they get it early, right? Nobody knows where they get the data. They got it. So they trained it. And then,
the mystery, Yes.
And then I was just watching using some Chinese one. The funny things is they're good at certain things. They're not good at other things. Especially when you're coding. If I ask a lot of AWS question, they're not good at. You can see OpenAI is good at, but you can see where the data coming from. So
then it depends on the data that they are using, right? So then
so in China, as AWS is not super popular, so they can't scrub the internet for that. So you can see
out of the blue, what are they using?
In China?
Yes.
Oh, Alibaba.
Alibaba. Okay.
I mean the data sets,
Alibaba is
right?
a massive one
So
as well.
so
but it's
if
not common here in Europe.
Yeah, but like they had a Great Wall. They can't really go outside to scrub the data that much. If they are inside, they use internal data better. So a lot of Chinese programmers are like the code is good, but like not many of them have experiences with AWS. You can see that if I ask a question AWS, it doesn't really come back to me that accurate. So so really depend on data.
That's a really interesting topic, guys. It is, and I think it also reminded me, to some conversations that we had in the past about like the results that we get, when we upload like I don't know, or ask, okay, create an image of me, and then you just have something that is not entirely accurate because it is biased according to the information that they are feeding the machine with.
Well, it made an image of me with hair, and that was wrong.
Definitely, that's good.
Well, but that's a good sign, exactly. So then it's like, okay, I look great.
Well, yeah. Well, when it makes one that looks more like me, then I'll go, yeah, it's getting better. But at this point, not yet. Not yet.
Guys, thank you so much. It was a great episode, and I'm so looking forward to meeting you next week. Have a good one.
All right, see you everyone.
This one